Welcome to this week's edition of Mainly Motorsports. I'm your host, Steve Perry, flying solo to begin this week's episode. But we got some great stuff on this week's show. We got some highlights from some race events. But probably the most important thing that I think we have going on this week is we have Joe Marco coming in on our next segment. And any of you don't know Joe, he's from HMS Motorsports, the leading supplier and people to deal with up here in the Northeast for safety equipment. The stylo helmets that you see on, a third of your Cup drivers. Dale Earnhardt Jr. won the 500 with a stylo helmet, or stilo as they call them. The Schroth belts, they outfit 36 of the 43 top 43 Cup drivers, and when I say they outfit them, they build the belts for them. And the Hans device, something that every racer should have, no matter at what level you're racing. Mandatory in INEX Legend cars, but other divisions and tracks really encourage you to have the Hans device. And Joe Marco and his entire staff over at Danvers, Mass, they handle all that. And, we brought Joe in and, we asked him to give us the proper installation techniques for your seat belts in your race cars. And I know some guys are already started racing or getting ready, but it's something worth watching to see if yours are properly installed. And I'm going to tell you, I've never installed a proper set of seat belts after being with Joe and listen to what he has to say and how it works. I've never installed a proper set of seat belts. So, I learned so much right off the bat. And, we split it up over 3 segments, and it's very, very informative. It seems like simple stuff, but trust me, I would be willing to bet 90% of the race cars out there do not have their seat belts properly installed. Now, does that mean if you get in an accident, you're going to risk injury or death? But no. But all it takes is that one time. And, we all saw that back 13 years ago, with Dale Earnhardt. And, things changed a lot after Dale Earnhardt. And, I appreciate Joe coming on. We took him out in the shop. He's got Mike Rose, brand new past Super Late model. He showed you the proper way to install belts. And like I said, I learned so much. And, safety, you cannot preach safety enough. And, anybody that was at Wiscasset this past week and saw the Legend rollover by Dylan Varney, making his first ever start in a Legend car, and saw him launch over another car and barrel roll down over the off the 3 and 4 and head down towards the woods, knows how important safety equipment is. And that was the first thing I saw when the family and the mother posted on Facebook, is how all the safety equipment did its job. And that's something we all need to focus on and really pay attention to. So we're going to show you some highlights from over there at Wiscasset with the Pro Stock feature and the NELCAR Legends. And lo and behold, I guess from last week's episode, Bill Penfold goes to Victory Lane. So we're starting off good this year. Come on, Mainly Motorsports, get your trip to Victory Lane. So show you some Legend highlights, some Pro Stock highlights over at Wiscasset Speedway, and then we'll come back with Joe Marco and we'll talk about seatbelts. And like I said, pay attention, because I guarantee you 90% of the race cars out there, the seatbelts are not properly installed. Might not be a major part, but whether it's an angle or the way something sits, it's not properly done. So enjoy these highlights, enjoy what Joe Marco has to say, and we'll talk to you a little bit here on Mainly Motorsports.
And we're underway. Penfold right up to the back bumper, the 15. A little bit of room now for Hinckley. Oh, tight squeeze into turn 3 that time. Things start again. And still have 10 laps to go when they come by the stand this time. Mike Orr inches his way into 3rd. Ready. Billy Penfold gets the lead. Joe Decker is 2nd, Mike Orr 3rd, Matty Sanborn 4th, and James Osmond 5th. All right, we're down here in Victory Lane. The guys getting out here, and
I just can't thank Kim Guptill and Scott Trask, Ken Beasley, is Vicky, everybody down there that's helped, because I weren't much help. They put me in the seat, and I knew I had a car that was real fast for about 25 laps, and I put it to use. And I really didn't want the yellow because I was trying to stretch it out. Then when they got fighting, I was able to run away. And if it wasn't for that, they would have got by, because the car was slowing right up.
All right, good job. Good way to start off the season. He was a 4-time winner last year. First one of the season for Billy Penfold. Green flag is out. Alexander in 3rd. Smith slides into turn 1, gives over that fourth spot away from Braunschweig. Shuffles down and on back into 5th. Spin on the backstretch is number 80. As the leaders go by, Dylan Varney. Flag is back out. Teddy goes around. Braunschweig goes off the banking, and we got a car rolling over down the main driver compartment of the car did all its work. Well, you see all the roll bars, you see the seat and everything. The door panels have been busted off and everything, and bumpers bent and such, but the driver compartment did exactly what it's supposed to do. So you get a good shot right there of...
That's a perfect example of what's supposed to happen with that car when what happened to it.
59, Burgoyne gets the feature win.
Hi, I'm Scott from Scott's Recreation. We're selling brand new campers for less than some dealers charge for used ones. New 30-foot 2014 half-ton towable models with super slides and bunks, just $16,999 or $159 per month. Save $25,000 on this new 2014 triple slide Bighorn. New motorhomes from Winnebago and Thor starting at just $59,000 or $393 per month. We take most anything on trade we don't have to feed.
Scott's Recreation, Route 4 Turner and Route 202 Manchester, Maine. Don't let the other guys rough you up. Shop online at otmotorsales.com.
Clark's Eastside Scrap and Westside Scrap, two of the region's most efficient scrap yards. Both locations have the latest and greatest equipment, along with large capacity scales that are constantly calibrated to ensure honest weights. Car crushing, roll-off containers, scrap metal. Clark's Eastside Scrap in Chelsea and Clark's Westside Scrap in Farmingdale. Don't fix it, scrap it.
Mainly Motorsports TV, brought to you by
Moody's Collision Centers, now with 7 convenient locations: Gorham, Scarborough, Biddeford, Portland, Sanford, Lewiston, and now South Portland. Visit us at moodyscollision.com.
Southern Maine Motors, out to be Maine's #1 Chrysler Dodge Jeep dealership, Route 1 Saco.
Welcome to Mainly Motorsports.
To order copies of a show, send a check or money order for $15, shipping and handling included, to Mainly Motorsports, 326 Roosevelt Trail, Windham, Maine, 04062. And please add a description of the show.
So the first thing I want to do is I want to talk to you about how we set the angle and decide what angle that the lap belt needs to be installed. Now here I've put the adjuster, the bolt-in bracket on slightly, it's not completed, but it's in roughly the shape that it would be. So we're going to feed it in the car, we're going to feed it through the opening in the seat. And the angle that we're looking at to come off of your body to the pelvis, we're looking at about a 60-degree angle. So optimally, this is kind of where I would like this lap belt to sit and bolt into the chassis. Okay, so and when we look in our car, we'll see that the tab hopefully is in that direction. This is, a lot of times I'll see this kind of an angle, which is about a 45 or maybe even less of an angle. The problem with that angle is that the belt is already riding up above the crest of your pelvis, and the likelihood that you could submarine under it is going to be much greater. So by moving that belt angle more forward so that you have a 60-degree to 80-degree angle from the plane here, that's going to give us the optimum mounting point. That's what we're shooting for in our car today. The other thing that you need to be thinking about is a lot of times you'll get a belt that has the bolt-in bracket sewn in. If you have a bracket where it's sewn in, you need to make sure where the adjuster falls. So here I have this, in this case I have a pull-up adjuster, which a lot of times helps to keep the adjuster out of the way. But if you have a pull-up adjuster, and if it's too close to the mounting point and that adjuster is sitting right in this hole, you don't want to have that happen, because what happens is as I load it against that edge, notice I'm pulling that webbing right through. So let's say in an impact, if that adjuster is sitting outside the seat, and when the belt's tight, it's sitting close to the opening in the seat, then what happens in an impact is it gets held up against the seat, and the belt just pulls right out because the seat pushes the adjuster open. So it's very important to look at where your adjuster falls, and optimally the adjuster should be inside the seat and not outside the seat. So in this case, we've got a pull-up adjuster. I've set the length for the approximate size of the driver so that he has enough that he can get the belt tight, but that the adjuster is well clear of the opening in the seat. So that's the first thing we need to look at with the angle. Now, the next thing I want to show you here is how we actually wrap in. So this is all kind of pre-wrapped. It's not finished, but I'll go through the whole process on the right side lap belt here. So if we zoom in a little bit to the right side here, I'm going to show you how you fold the webbing and how you get all this stuff sorted out. Okay, now I've ordered my hardware here in the order that it's going to be bolted in and fit into the chassis. So the first thing I have to do is I have to take my webbing and the bracket. Now some of the brackets, this particular bracket, our short bracket, has a slight 10-degree bend. Okay, some brackets are flat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have this bracket be to the outside of the tab that sits in the car. So in the car, this is the right side belt. I've got a tab that's kind of sticking up on the chassis, right? So I'm going to bolt this to the outside of that tab, and I'm going to bolt it in a way that when I bolt it in, this bolt-in bracket is always going to be able to swivel. Okay, so we'll pretend that that's the bolt-in bracket from the chassis. Let's say that that's mounted right there. So when I bolt this bracket in, the angle is going to be bending forward, and it's going to be bolted in a way that this bracket can always pivot. Because what that's going to allow is it's going to allow the belt to move if you have an impact, it's going to allow this to rotate and to keep the belt from loading an edge of the webbing. So when I say load the edge of the webbing, here's our 3-bar adjuster. When I get into any kind of a load on this, I want this to be pulling even through this adjuster. When I say edge loading, and so if I have the bracket and it's fixed this way, and now I have an impact and I'm trying to pull the belt, what that's trying to do is it's trying to load this edge of the webbing. And when you put a 3,500 or 4,000 pound load, which is clearly what you could see in a relatively minor impact with the wall head in, this could put a tremendous load on the edge of the webbing right here, and it could even potentially violate or cut the webbing and create a failure in the belt. It doesn't happen that often, but it can happen. So that's why we're always making sure that when we bolt this bracket in, and this is all wrapped together, that this whole assembly can pivot so that as the belt load changes direction, that I've got the belt pulling evenly through all of the hardware. So that's very important. Right, so now let's go through and do the proper wrap here that we talked about. So I know that this bracket is going to fit onto the chassis. It's going to have that slight bend going towards the chassis. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my webbing through the bracket. Now here's my 3-bar adjuster, standard 3-bar adjuster, which I think you've all seen. So we call that a 3-bar, 1, 2, 3 bars. Okay, so when I put the 3-bar adjuster on, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go out from the outside over the center and then back under, and then I'm going to move that adjuster up to approximately the direction that I need to go in order that I've got enough length to get the belt adjusted when I use the pull-up adjuster here, but that I don't have too much, I don't make it too long that they can't get the belt fully tightened. So now I'm going to take our webbing. We know the direction, this has got to bend down. I'm going to fold the webbing, kind of the edges into the webbing like this. And the purpose of this is so that when I go through my bolt-in bracket here, that I've got a very nice, when I go through the bolt-in bracket, I've got a very nice edge that where the webbing, it's folded over and it's creating right around the bracket. So I don't have any outside edge of the webbing on that bracket itself. So I'm just going to kind of pull that through. We know this is the position I'm trying to get to, so I'm just going to kind of feed it through as we go. And now as I get up here, now I'm going to straighten those edges out so that I have an even amount on either side. And then work my way up. And I'm trying to get this bracket as close to the 3-bar adjuster as possible. So I'm just going to continue it up, continue it up. Okay, and now you can see I'm getting pretty close. I'm going to pull this a little bit. Now I need to feed the webbing through the 3-bar adjuster from underneath. So I'm going underneath the 3-bar, the outside bar. Now I'm going to tighten that. And I'm working to make sure that I keep the fold within that bracket even. So I'm going to tighten that bracket right there. You see that's nice and tight. I'm trying to get this 3-bar adjuster as close to the bolt-in bracket as possible, because any distance that I have there could allow it to do some minor micro slip through that adjuster. All right, so that's the first part. Now I've got to take the webbing and I've got to feed it over through the top hole, pull that out. All right, so now you see 2 bars. Now, that looks good so far, and I would bet in a lot of your cars that's what it's going to look like. That's a problem, because that's not finally locked. The final lock is to come back over that top bar and go under. It's the same wrap that we use when you wrap on your shoulder belts. And I think over the years we've gotten most people to get much better on how they wrap in their shoulder belts. And you pull that through. Now, you should never see with a 3-bar adjuster, when you're finally done, you should never see more than 1 bar exposed. And that bar should be on the top and not underneath. Okay, so now I've got, everything is wrapped properly. So if it's wrapped properly, you'll see the bottom bar closest to the bracket is exposed. And if you flip it under, you'll see the middle bar under the center is exposed. And that's the way you know you've got the hardware wrapped in properly. Now you can see how close I've got that 3-bar adjuster to the bolt-in bracket. That's absolutely critical. And you can see I've got a really nice folded in edge here. So I folded each edge in, because it's 3-inch webbing into a 2-inch slot. I've got that nice and neatly folded. Now if you have a 3-inch bolt-in bracket, depending on what kind of seatbelt you have, then it's going to be just evenly passed through. But it's very important that you get this 3-bar adjuster as close to the bracket as possible. Okay, so that's the first part. Now we've got the position right where this is going to go in the seat.
Award Champs LLC is Southern Maine's premier award supplier and official award supplier for many of the area's top organizations and events. If you're in need of an award for a sponsor, employee recognition, fundraising event, or an entire sports organization, call Todd Mead at Award Champ. They provide the best for less with competitive pricing like the big online firms, but give you the personalized service you can only get from a local supplier. When you're in need of awards or personalized gifts, call Award Champs, where they'll help you reward your champion.
Hi, I'm Johnny Wolf.
And I'm Dan Wolf. We've been selling and servicing vehicles on Route 25 in Gorham since 1972.
Wolf Auto Service offers state inspections, tires, brakes, and suspension.
21st Century Motors has a great selection of cars and trucks starting at $29.99.
With no mortgage and low overhead, we sell and service at guaranteed lowest prices.
We're just 6 miles west of Turnpike Exit 47 on Route 25 in Gorham. Online at 21stcenturymaine.com.
Patman's Redemption and Agency Liquor Store is located at 95 Tanberg Trail in Windham, Maine. With over 400 feet of hard liquor and 15 doors of ice-cold beer and soda, Patman's can handle all of your beverage needs. And if it's wine on your agenda, we have over 300 varieties in stock. Then when the party's over, Patman's can handle all of your Maine returnables, and we welcome all bottle drives. And if you're late for the race, drop off the bottles and pick up the cash at your convenience.
Hey, this is Pat Man himself, just letting you know that Pat Man's is your one-stop shop for all your thirsty needs.
Now we have some hardware. So in this particular case, with our choke belts, we actually machine a little sleeve, which will work. And in this case, I'm using a 7/16 bolt. We have a 1/2-inch bolt in the chassis, a 1/2-inch hole in the chassis in the bracket, and we're going to use a 7/16 bolt. This pivot sleeve goes actually into the hardware, and it protrudes ever so slightly out the bottom of the hardware. And the purpose of that is when I put the bolt in, and then I put the bracket, the sleeve, and I put this through the chassis, that no matter how tight I tighten this down, it's going to allow that bracket to pivot freely. So I can't over tighten the nut on the bolt and lock it into a position where this will not pivot freely. So I got my pivot sleeve, I've got a washer on the inside, and then if we pretend again that this is our chassis here, okay, so what that's going to do now is it's from the outside, it's going to go through the chassis, okay, and then I will, in the chassis itself, I've actually got another little sleeve that's going to go through the chassis to scale down that 1/2-inch hole in the chassis, and then I'm going to put my nut on top of that. So what that's going to do is when I tighten all this down, and really don't need much more than about 40 foot-pounds of torque on it, when I tighten all this down, everything, the bracket that's bolted and holding the seatbelt, that's going to continue to pivot no matter how tight I make that. So that's the basic of what we're trying to do to get the belt in. So that's going to bolt right into the car, and we'll be all set. And it's going to be the same process that we follow on both the left side and the right side of the belt, of the lap belt. The substrap is going to be not that much different. It's not critical that the substrap pivots. So in the case of the substrap, we have a tab that's coming through the front of the seat, and you can see, if I flip the seat up here a little bit, we've got a hole for the fifth point that's coming right in the front. We'll talk a little bit, we talked a little bit earlier about 5-point versus 6-point and all that. If we were to have a 6-point belt in this seat, you'd have 2 slots, basically one here and one here, that would be roughly 10 inches in from the back of the seat from where the liner is. So if you have a cord seat on top of this, wherever the high density foam is, 10 inches from the back of that coming forward with a slot on either side, and that's where the 6-point belts would go. Some of the newer LaJoie aluminum seats, or some of the, if you specify it, they can actually reinforce underneath the seat with a piece of aluminum, and you can actually bolt the substraps right to the bottom of the seat. And that's a good way to get to a 6-point belt without having to significantly modify the chassis. And when you order a seat from whatever manufacturer or from LaJoie, you can order it with the mounting points for the 6-point belts actually built into the seat. I would highly recommend that you look at 6-point belts, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, so I won't repeat all that right now. But this seat could be modified. It could be sent back to LaJoie. They could weld on the additional aluminum. You could modify it for a 6-point belt installation. So the mounting of that 6-point belt, if we come back in tighter a little bit here, we'll just show you how the wrapping of that bracket is going to be the same method that we used over here. So we're going to go underneath the bracket. Again, we've got a little slight bend, so I'm going to have that bend going back towards the driver. I'm going to feed, I've already got my 3-bar adjuster here, so I feed the 3-bar adjuster underneath the outside, the top bar, over the center bar, back underneath, pull that up, get the length to approximately where you need that to sit so that the adjuster on the substrap is just above, you want the adjuster to sit just above the top of the seat. So when I have this in the seat here, I like to have that adjuster sitting just above the seat so that when I pull this up, that I don't have to reach underneath the seat to get it, and that allows me to loosen it and tighten it. The substrap is the most important part of your system. The substrap is what's going to maintain the proper position of the lap belts and where the latch link or cam lock is going to be positioned. Let's go back and get that wrap done. So I fed the first part through to get the 3-point lock. Now I'm going to feed my bracket in, go underneath the bracket. Then I go under the top piece. And this you'll have to adjust. Once you get the seat in the car, you're going to have to play with this a little bit and probably wrap and re-wrap a couple of times to get the lengths right. And I feed it back over the center one, come out the bottom. Now I got the 2 bars showing, so I have one more lock to go back, and I can flip that and go right through. That's our final lock. You can see I've got 1 bar showing in the bottom. I've got the top bar closest to the bracket showing on the top. And that's the proper method for the lock. And I want to get this 3-bar adjuster as close to the bolt-in bracket as possible. Now, you always want to have at least 2 or 3 inches left outside of the adjuster. So you don't want to cut this off. This webbing you can. So like right here on our lap belts, we could, if we needed to, and this is a lot of extra webbing, we could actually just cut this. And then we could take a torch or we could take a lighter and actually heat the edge, and that'll seal. The webbing is polyester and it will melt. So what happens is, so you don't want it to fray, you cut it off. Once you're absolutely sure you got all your belt lengths right, you could actually leave 3 or 4 inches, cut it, and then heat it and seal it with a torch, just the edge, and it'll make a nice sealed edge that won't ever fray on you. So that's the basics of wrapping the hardware. Now you can see what's wrong with this one right here. I've got 2 bars showing, so I haven't completed the final wrap. So what I'm going to do is go back over the bottom one, feed it in, pull it tight. Okay, now that's my final wrap. I've got 1 bar showing, the bar closest to the bolt-in bracket on the top, and I've got the center bar showing underneath. So I know that I've got that wrap done properly. And then this webbing, like we said, we could, if you wanted to and you're sure all the lengths are right and you're not going to move the belt to another car, you can cut it off. The other thing you can do is you can simply just take the webbing like this and you can roll it up. We do this a lot of times on the shoulder belts. If you don't want to cut all the excess webbing off the shoulder belts, you could roll it up like this. You can set it right on top, and you can put a zip tie through here. Just zip tie the extra webbing so it just isn't flying around and floating around in the car. And then that's one way that if you decide you need to move the belt from one car to another car in a year or 6 months down the road, and the mounting points are not in exactly the same space, you haven't cut the belt too short, you've got a lot of room and you've got some flexibility. So just some ideas. So you could just put a zip tie underneath here, go right through the loop, tighten that down, and that'll hold nice and tight, be nice and neat for your installation.
I did not grow up in the car business. I started as a technician in a small garage, and now lucky enough to own my own dealership. I think buying a new car should be hassle-free with pricing up front. We like to negotiate with everyone the same way. Our goal is for our customers to feel good and make it easy and quick if they so desire. We pay our sales staff to help satisfy your needs, not to collect a traditional commission.
Southern Maine Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Maine's only Viper dealer, Route 1, Saco.
Award season event is going on now.
Hi, I'm Scott from Scott's Recreation. We're selling brand new campers for less than some dealers charge for used ones. New 30-foot 2014 half-ton towable models with super slides and bunks, just $16,999 or $159 per month. Save $25,000 on this new 2014 triple slide Bighorn. New motorhomes from Winnebago and Thor starting at just $59,000 or $393 per month. We take most anything on trade we don't have to feed.
Scott's Recreation, Route 4 Turner and Route 202 Manchester, Maine.
For a trusted name in residential and commercial site work in the Southern Maine area, call Peter Pettit Excavating. We can handle everything from the complete house lot to those nasty water and sewer line repairs. Septic systems are another area that we specialize in. During the snow season, Pettit Excavating has the equipment to handle any size job.
And when the race season arrives, be sure to follow the number 7 Hewitt's Family Restaurant Chevrolet on the past Super Late Model Tour.
Call 207-282-9305 to get the job done right. That's Peter Pettit Excavating.
Mainly Motorsports TV, brought to you by
Scott's Recreation. Whether you're thinking about your first camper or looking to upgrade your current one, Scott's Recreation can help you. Get both our Route 202 Manchester and our Route 4 Turner locations and online at scottsrecreation.com.
LKQ Core. Any part, any repair, anywhere. Located on Route 202 in Gorham.
When you're in need of awards or personalized gifts, call Award Champs, where they'll help you reward your champion.
Now we're going to take a look at the shoulder belts. Our short shoulder belts are pretty easy to decide which belt goes on which side because you always want to keep the stripe closest to the center. So you can see this would be the right side shoulder and this would be the left side shoulder. Now we don't really have the seat in the car, so we can't verify that the height of the harness bar is the proper height, but we'll assume for right now that it is, and let's show you how that we wrap it down. Now I've already got the 3-bar adjuster. You can see here I've already got the 3-bar adjuster on the belt to start with, and I wrapped it. I came under the first bar, over the center bar, and down out the back. So that's the starting position. Now the important thing is you want to go under the bar, all right, and under the bar, and then back through the top ball, and then you can kind of pull it and get the belt to where to the height, to the proper dimension of what you need. Now I see people go over the bar and then try to wrap it from underneath, and it gets very complicated and it's very easy to make a mistake and to do it incorrectly that way. So that's the first part of the wrap. Now what I do is I usually let the driver get in the car, and then this is very easy. I can make the belt longer or shorter, however I need to do, just by putting that first wrap. Now once you get the length right, and what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the length of the shoulder belt so that I've got enough room to adjust the belt, to tighten the belt to get it adjusted. I never want to, though, get it to the point where I'm tightening it where I've got no more adjustment at the bottom. So I'm trying to set the length of the shoulder belt so that when and let me unloosen the belt here a little bit, that I've got enough room that when I'm pulling the adjuster down to tighten the belt, that I never get more than like 1.5 inches or 2 inches up to where the belt can't go through the adjuster anymore. Because that way, when that driver wants to do that extra little tug on the front straight, you've got that room left over that they can go. If they're already down at the bottom, they're not going to be able to get it any tighter. The other thing is, and let me just get that first there, just grab my Hans device. Okay, with my Hans device, what I want to make sure is that when the belt is tight, okay, you can see the belt, I've got a 2-inch Hans belt here, 2-inch belt to go over the Hans. I want this adjuster, and this is the adjuster, the center line is where you can kind of see daylight through that adjuster. I want that to be either, when the belt is tight, 1 inch up from the bottom edge of the yoke. Okay, so the center line of this adjuster, where the lower part and the upper part separate and you can kind of see through it, so that when the belt's tight, it's 1 inch up on the bottom of the yoke of the Hans. Or if you got a tall driver and you don't want to get it under the helmet, you want to make sure that when the belt's tight, that it's sitting 1.5 to 2 inches below the bottom edge of the yoke. And why are we doing that? We're doing that because if you happen to have it sitting right at the bottom edge of the yoke, okay, and you get into an impact, it's possible that you could get that Hans jammed in to where the adjuster is, and then it would not give you the same performance that you would do, or it would put an extra load on your chest or something else. So you want to make sure that when the belt is tight, fully adjusted, that's either 2 inches below that center line of the adjuster, or it's riding on the Hans 1 inch above the bottom edge of the yoke. So that's very important. That's how you set the length of what the shoulder belt is. So the two things, to repeat, the two things you need to worry about in setting the length of the shoulder is where that adjuster rides in relationship to the bottom edge of the yoke of the Hans, and how much adjustment is left when you have the belt fully tightened. I should still have at least a couple of inches. When I've really yanked down on those shoulder belts, I have a couple of inches where I could still tighten that shoulder belt. So those are the two things you need to be concerned about as far as setting the length of the shoulder belt. Now the other thing is off the Hans, if we were to, let's say that the seat was in the car and that this is kind of where I'm sitting, what I want to do is, first of all, this 3-bar adjuster needs to be sitting right on top of the harness bar. I don't want this adjuster to be sitting out here with this space. Okay, what happens is, even if I lock this adjuster the proper way and I have this space, when I get into a serious load, there can be micro slippage through that adjuster, even if it's properly locked. So it's very critical that you get that adjuster sitting right up on top of that bar, absolutely as tight to that bar as you can get it. So now I'm going to finish the wrap on that so you can see what that looks like and how tight. So I've got it up there. I know that's where I want it. We've got a lot of extra webbing here, but that can be dealt with later, just like we did on the lap belt. Now I'm going to pull this through. Okay, now what have I got? I've got 2 bars showing, so that means we don't have our last lock on. So now I'm going to put the last lock here. It's a lot easier if you don't put the rear windows in before you do this, especially when you have the seat in the car. Otherwise, you're going to get a sore back and a sore neck by trying to do this. Okay, I'm going to get that nice and tight. Now you can see that 3-bar adjuster is really right up tight against that bar. All right, now, assuming that that's in the right position, and I've got my Hans here, what I want to make sure is that the angle off of the Hans, when it's sitting on my shoulder, that I have at least a straight angle going back to the harness bar, unobtruded by the seat or the headrest, or I can go up to 10 degrees down from the top of the Hans, but back down to the harness bar. You can go as much as 20 degrees, but you don't want to be more than 20 degrees. Optimum angle is -10. 0 is fine. You never want to be in a situation where you're going up, because if I'm going up and I get into a rollover impact, or a rollover incident, what's going to happen is my whole body is going to raise, the belt's not holding me down. So the optimum angle from the top of the Hans back to where it mounts to the harness bar, that optimum angle is -10 degrees. So 10 degrees down from the top of the Hans off your shoulder back to the harness bar mounting point. So that's how you want to determine it. Now, once I've got the shoulder belts mounted, And we've got a little table which you can, the formula that you can decide how far apart the shoulder belts need to be. You want to take some of the roll bar padding, the high density roll bar padding that you're going to put anywhere your head can hit. You want to cut off about a 2 or 3 inch block of it and mount it right to the outside of the harness so that the harness can't move like this. You don't want that harness to be able to slide. So if I take a piece of roll bar padding and I put it here with a zip tie around it, the roll bar, it's the half stuff that's sticky with a zip tie, then that will keep the position of that harness in the right place. So regardless of how much I go bouncing around into the wall or whatever else, it's going to maintain the optimum position of that shoulder belt riding over top of the Hans and riding over your shoulder. You got to make sure that with all of the belts that there is no interference between the seat opening and the edge of the belt. You don't want the belt to be going through the seat and then getting bound up on the edges like this, okay? Whether it's the lap belt, the sub belt, or the shoulder belt. It's got to have a clear passage through the seat directly to the mounting point. That's the most critical thing for a belt. Anywhere that it can rub against the metal or rub against the hardware could be a potential failure point. And if you need to inspect your belts, if you look at your belts and you see that you've got some fraying on an edge or that it's looking particularly worn, that's probably because it's riding when it's under tension against some edge. And that is a potential failure point for the belt. So you need to be very careful about that.
We've got the car you've been looking for at OT Motor Sales. Shop online at otmotorsales.com.
Not sure what brand tire to buy? Town Fair Tire has them all. Michelin, Goodyear, Firestone, Bridgestone, Pirelli, Toyo, Yokohama, Hankook, and more. No matter what size or brand, Town Fair Tire beats all the competition, even online prices. We'll also do a free front wheel alignment with any tire purchase. Name brand tires, the lowest prices, free alignment. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody.
Name brands at discount prices. Town Fair Tire.
Well, I hope you all took something out of that 3-segment piece from Joe Marco on seatbelts, and we're gonna continue with him. We're gonna go down to the shop and we're gonna talk about a little bit more on seatbelts, the differences on the 5-point, the 6-point. Talk about helmet fitting. So many people just get a helmet because it looks good, or they like it, or the paint scheme, or they like the price. Not the important way. You have to like and know how it feels and it fits properly, and we'll have Joe assist us on that, as well as the Hans device and some other things that they offer down there. But as we continue our trek around New England and parts of Maine with tracks and tours that are opening up, Speedway 95 is going to be opening up here in a couple weeks, May 3rd. They were postponed. They should have opened up this past weekend, but they postponed things with the weather. And we went up to the Auburn Mall show and caught up with Del Merritt and a couple of his drivers, and pretty excited about some of the changes that are going to happen and take place up there in 2014. So enjoy these next 2 segments from Del and a couple of his drivers, and listen about young Lexi Roach and the message she's trying to get out through her race car. Pretty unique and great little kid. All right, as we make our way around the Bangor Mall, looking at the cars, the beautiful cars that the racers from Speedway 95 were prepared. Caught up with Motor Del Merritt. Your 3rd year of sole ownership, and each year there seems to be improvements at the track, and the buzz gets a little louder and a little louder. And what's your feelings going into the 2014 season?
Well, we're going to hope we can keep that same trend going. Got a lot of things we got to do. Got a long ways to go, but it takes time and money, and we're working on it.
Yeah, no, and I mean, you got a great schedule planned, but before we get into talking about the schedule, let's talk about the cars that are here. I mean, close to 30, or a low number of 30 race cars, some from your Wednesday program, some from some touring series, and your regular Saturday night series. I mean, they came out to support you, and the mall has been very receptive.
Yes, I think it's a nice shot for us at being at this mall. It really gives us a boost. The mall's good for us. We get a lot of exposure from people that don't know the racetracks.
Well, and you just
and
said
our guys are super. So.
You just said it. Exposure for people that don't know the racetracks there, and the guys, and some of them, you know, they've done more to their displays. They brought in some hardware. They've got things for the kids that are walking around, and you know, they're doing their part to promote you, and in turn, you know, allows you to put a better product out there for the fans and the racer.
Yes, these guys have really poured out since we got back to the, you know, the Bangor Mall here. They really do a super job in getting the cars ready and representing us, and I think they showed it down to your show. We come out of there with 4 places. And,
yeah, you guys.
And these guys are really putting their heart and soul into it.
During the off season, you and your track and your staff, and you know, you always do a great job. But you know, now the racing, we're going to tentatively open in May 3rd, providing weather and everything. I mean, you've already had to change that, but once you get going, you got a pretty ambitious schedule and a lot of things, a lot of different type of racing coming in there.
Yeah, you know, we mixed up the Wednesday nights. We're only going to do 10 Wednesday nights, and we're going to try to get the wacky back into the Wednesday night. I need to shut that off.
No, that's all right. It might be important.
No. But anyway, we've added up, you know, some stunt shows and things to a Wednesday night show, and we've gone back to just stock 4, 6, and 8. And I think it'll be interesting again on the Wednesday nights, and then of course our Saturday nights where we've got a lot of the series races, the same as we've always had, and mixing them up. We got the end of the year event. We got Pass coming in. And
yeah, you got, you know, obviously a regular program on a weekly basis, but the 3 things that stand out to me is the Monster Truck Show, that you're moving it a little bit later in July.
Right.
You know, that's a big hit. I mean, that packs that place.
It's a big step because we've gone off on our own. We no longer are hooked with the Monster Jam. We've gone out and got our own trucks and going to do our own show. So it's a big, you know, big step for us. But I think it's going to pay off in the long run. And I think people really are looking to see the trucks outdoors.
Oh yeah, no, it's awesome. And then in August, the Pro All-Star Series comes back with the Height Chevrolet 150, and you know, for years your track was a staple on that series, and you kind of got away from it, but you're bringing them back in 2014, and you know, the big, fast, high-powered super late models. I mean, you got to be excited about that. Sunday, you know, so you should be able to attract some people from some other tracks that aren't running, and should be a great show, great car count, and great fan base.
I'm hoping that Tom puts it together and brings us a good show, and you know, we've got together with Tom Mayberry finally again, and if the weather permits, hopefully we'll have a great show.
Yeah, no, I think you'll have a packed house, and you know, running all their divisions, and you know, and then you have a little bit of practice going on the night before. So your Saturday night fans that maybe aren't a little aware of what's going on with the Pro All-Star Series, when they see them under the lights and see the speeds that those super late models will turn over there, I mean, I think that's going to excite your crowd even more and make those people want to come back Sunday.
Yeah, the last time I think we was up there, I think it was Dennis that was turning down in the low 14.7 at Speedway, and that's fast.
Yeah, no, that is getting around there. And then, you know, the Aikido race, Chuck Halls plays a big part in. You know, he's pulled it off the last couple of years on a Thursday night, but this year you guys have kind of gone the way of some other tracks, and you're putting a big event on at the end of the year, and you know, not only the street stocks, but the late models, and you know, a little higher prey-in, and a little, you know, hoping to attract cars from other facilities. And you know, what's your take on that? I mean, that's going to be October 4th, 5th, and 6th. So.
Yeah, because Chuck has always done a great job of promoting that Aikido race. It's going to be a little different for us this year because we normally done his on a Thursday, and we done a John Pippin race on a Thursday. We've got right away from those Thursdays, and we're going to tie it all together on the weekend. You know, we got that Quit Your Complaining 50 for the Sport 4s, which is, you know, a super race for them. And we got Demolition Derby in there, and we got a 4, 6s, and 8s, and looking to see what we're going to do on the late models right now.
Yeah, no, that's
for a surprise.
Well, that's a big weekend, and that's you know, at the end of the year, those fans are looking at for that last time. I know there's, you know, New Hampshire does it, a couple tracks there, Connecticut they do it, obviously past 400 at Beechridge, and but for you guys to go out and do it and put that big weekend together, where basically if you got a race car, there's a class for it, you know, and that's, you know, that should bring them.
Let's hope so.
All right, well, good luck from us at Mainely Motorsports Dell with the 2014 season. We'll be there to support you and give you the coverage and help spread the word of everything you guys got going on up there.
Well, Steve, thanks for having us, and we look forward to seeing you throughout the year.
Oh, we'll be there. Now we're going to see if we can catch up with a couple of Dell's drivers, some of his guys and girls that go out and support him.
Today's vehicles are equipped with complex safety features such as anti-lock brakes, seatbelt restraints, and airbag systems. Even collision avoidance systems. Not available in all models. Hi, I'm Sean Moody from Moody's Collision Centers. We don't wish bad luck on anyone, but even with today's technology, we need to keep our eyes on the road and our hands on the wheel.
Moody's Collision Centers, now with 9 locations in Maine.
Looking for a great time, great people, and great food? Then visit New England's #1 biker destination, Bentley's Saloon, owned by legendary super-modified driver Bentley Warren. Bentley's is a biker bar that welcomes everyone. Staying in the area, Bentley's has their own full-service campground right on site. Tuesdays, Bentley's Cruise Night attracts car enthusiasts from all over New England. Located on Route 1 in Arundel, Bentley's Saloon guarantees a great time. Check out the fun at BentleySaloon.com and see why Bentley says, who has more fun than us?
Mainly Motorsports TV, brought to you by
Bentley Saloon, Route 1 in Arundel. Stop by and see why me and my friends say, who has more fun than us? We do.
Clark's Car Crushing, providing guaranteed honest weights with top dollar being paid.
And we've caught up with John Curtis, driver of the beautiful number 23 over here at the Bangor Mall, right in the prime real estate, right in the middle. How'd you rate that?
We just got lucky, right?
No, you didn't get lucky, dude. You bought a beautiful race car here, and that's what you do with beautiful race cars. You put it in prime real estate. But you got to be excited. I know you did the off-season show in Augusta, and now to come here and all the people, and must be a lot of good comments about this car.
Yeah, we've had a lot of good comments, and we are pretty excited about opening day. Really ready to go and see what we can do this year.
Yeah. So same car you raced before, and.
No, this is a new car for us. This was Andy Saunders' car, and track champion at Bangor last year. And
so it knows where Victory Lane is, dude.
Hopefully I can do it.
Victory Lane is, but no, that's awesome. And I mean, talk about the spot, because what really has intrigued me about you and your operation. You go and you walk around here and you'll see a sponsor on the hood and a sponsor on the quarters and a sponsor. I mean, this is a cup car look. This looks like a cup car, as far as sponsors go. It's a big sponsor, and he takes care of it all. And
yeah, Snitzer come on this year, big time, and hooked us up. And my cousin that owns the car, big time. I wouldn't be able to do it without him. And the work store makes all these cars look good.
Oh,
they're awesome.
This thing is amazing, and yeah, I mean, it's just, it struck me when I saw you up to Augusta and didn't get a chance to talk to you up there. But when I came here, I'm like, I gotta talk to John, because this thing's beautiful. I just love the fact that you have a sponsor, but you're not taking away from them, because you could litter other sponsors on there, but you're really, they got to be really happy, They come out to the mall and they've seen
hopefully
it.
they're supposed to come up. They're sponsors from Mass, and hopefully a couple of the guys will be up to see it.
All right, well, that's anybody traveling to Speedway 95, look for this beautiful number 23 in the late model division, and the car knows how to find Victory Lane. Now it's just, John, you got to find Victory Lane.
I'm going to do it.
It's going to do it. This is going to be the year, John. Well, good luck from all of us at Mainely Motorsports, and we'll be up showing our support to you.
And we thank you guys.
All right. Now we've caught up with another driver in the Stars of Tomorrow division up there at Speedway 95, and that's Lexi Roach. And welcome to Mainly Motorsports, Lexi.
Thank you.
Well, I met you at the Augusta show, and you were pretty excited to be there, and you really did a nice job displaying not only your car, but yourself and your team. And here you up here at Speedway 95. You got a nice booth. You got the little love bug up here again. I mean, tell everybody about this car and what makes it so unique, and some of the things that you have about it.
Well, we're doing this big campaign called Stop the Text, which means it can wait. Texting and driving, which is a big thing now, since everything evolves around phones. So we just think that it should stop, and hopefully if I get my age out there, then people will connect, because I'm so young.
Yeah, now how old are you?
I am 13.
So you can't even drive on the road,
No.
but you can race, and then you are getting the message across about texting and driving, so it's just, and the car is beautiful.
Thank you.
And so what has been the response about not texting and driving? And I mean, because obviously the kids, they read it and they look, and it's a little love bug, but how about the adults? What have you heard from the feedback from adults walking around?
They think it's really awesome that I do it, and it touches a lot of people, especially people that has gone through losing people from texting and driving. Not just the people that text and drive, but the people that have lost their lives because someone
Yeah, the
has
innocent
texted.
ones are just minding their own business. So,
Yeah.
you know, I just think it's great that what you are doing, and for such a young lady at being 13, just taking proactive on things, and you know, and then do it through racing. And you know, talk about the racing. How I mean, how many years? I mean, obviously not a lot of years, right? You're only 13.
I started when I was 11, and I'm 13 now, and it's just been such a great experience. I love being able to meet people and the connections I make with people. It's just amazing.
No, that's good. And Stars are tomorrow, so they run on Wednesday nights, right?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Do they run any Saturday nights, or is it always Wednesdays?
It's Wednesday nights mostly. If they have a 3-day weekend, it's usually Saturday. But
All right, so are you the only girl in the class, or are they?
so far, yes, I'm the only girl.
So every week you'll have bragging rights for the female community, huh?
Hopefully.
But then the fans jump on board, you know what I mean? Because being a girl with not, you know, with racing against young boys, and you know, they want to see you succeed, and you know, your dad's a big part of this. And talk about some of the other people and the sponsors that are really behind you and helping this out.
My papa, my gram, my little brother. I just have such a strong foundation at home. It's just so great, and I'm so thankful for all the fans that come support me. It wouldn't be anything without the fans.
No, it's great, and I just love the little car. And you know, if you had a seat over here, I'd let you take me for a ride when I show up at Speedway 95. But you know, heck, I don't even know where you put me, but no, I mean,
I bet we can fit you in there.
how are you gonna? Yeah, in the trunk area.
In the trunk, that's fine.
But no, it's great, Lexi, and we wish you the best of luck. And the fact that you are doing this with Stop the Text, and you know, it just says wonders about you, and so much about, you know, that you're 13 years old, but you're being proactive, and you're reaching out to adults. You know, for a kid to reach out to adults and show them the proper way to do things. You know, my hat's off to you, and we wish you the best of luck up there this year.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm very excited.
And that's Lexi Roach, and you can't miss her. The thing is yellow, it's bright, the number's bright, and it says Stop the Text, and you know, big graphics on here. So when you're up to Speedway 95 this year on a Wednesday night, look for Lexi.
Get the right car at the right price. OTMotorsales.com.
Not sure what brand tire to buy? Town Fair Tire has them all. Michelin, Goodyear, Firestone, Bridgestone, Pirelli, Toyo, Yokohama, Hankook, and more. No matter what size or brand, Town Fair Tire beats all the competition, even online prices. We'll also do a free front wheel alignment with any tire purchase. Name brand tires, the lowest prices, free alignment. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody.
Name brands at discount prices. Town Fair Tire.
This past weekend over at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, Northeast Mini Stock Tour, as well as the Granite State Legend Series, also kicked off over there. And a lot of people don't realize there's more things going on at New Hampshire Motor Speedway than a couple weekend in July, a couple weekend in September. And you know, they're reaching out to the short trackers, the local short trackers, and you know, putting on some races. They do a lot of bike races over there. They have the big vintage celebration usually in May. So, you know, you can go on their website and check out everything that they're doing. But we got some highlights from the Mini Stock Tour race and on the road course, and quite a little battle over there. And, you know, longtime Northeast Mini Stock supporter Emerson Kerr picked up the win. So enjoy these highlights put together by Dave McGuire, and after that we'll have the results. And that'll wrap up another great edition of Mainly Motorsports.
Time.